you staying there?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay here. Then I'll find out. I'm going to hold.
Right, so we'll just shoot in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What? The blacks aren't there anymore. They don't allow it. Sure.
I just saw them do that. So it's like,
You will not be able to stay outside. I'm just telling you, you can do what you want to do, but you can't stay there. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, just like always. Yeah. You just, you know, we have to loop around and you'll go straight in.
Alex, I'm going to stand next to you here.
All right. So, this guy's here. I'm going to go. All right. Up. Okay. And one, who's next? Which picks next?
Hello.
You want to go there?
Hi, I'm
Okay,
fine.
you know you can't be on the pavement. With a flag. So, we'll be on that side. I'll kick you out. You go anywhere you want. We've all picked our spots. Yeah, I go to the side. There we go. Everybody happy?
Sure. Always. Thank you, sir.
Well, the tow mark is there. It's supposed to be on it. It's a little farther out than it's here. Hopefully it'll go farther out.
That's right. Great. He's even going over there to be like, here's what's happening. That one right there.
Visible.
Hey, who's doing the Larry Downing that just like Patriot remix?
So we have the flag, gentlemen, here, and if you see, this is the previous tow mark, and if you look at it, it actually lines up better. I mean that would have yeah. I mean, so tired of reading about it. And the lieutenant over there was perfectly fine. Well, I mean,
if you guys work it out, where you want to split the difference, you're fine.
When they're on the marks, we'll take a look.
We're happy.
When they're on the marks, we'll take a look and I can adjust it.
But more importantly, where were you stuck bells? Does he have his rockstar course stuff?
Doug has got the day off miraculously.
You guys are laughing. Since he won that third Pulitzer, we haven't seen him.
Well,
Not that he doesn't deserve it. That's pretty awesome. He should win one Pulitzer.
not bad, not bad. Not bad.
Sorry, what's your name again?
Alex.
Alex. I'm Ed.
Yeah.
I don't see each other.
Yeah,
Thank you for the bag, sir. Thank you. Let me get them on the mark. Yes. Okay, when they're on the mark, something else.
And then you guys are going to work with it because now we're in their lives. Before we weren't.
they're okay. They all work very well with our colleagues. Thank you.
Okay. I know. No. But then I know you back there.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where those bushes were. Remember when the bushes were?
Right now, I don't know if you noticed the trees moved up.
I know, and they changed with the seasons. That's my favorite part.
It's all we're happy with that. Just if you guys want to play with these guys.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. This is tactical. All right. So now my dude is there. Do we want to reconfigure this? All right. Let's all step out and find our spots. Okay, how would you like that?
Because now you're blocking these.
I'm not blocking anybody.
Oh, the flag
fine.
here.
It's fine.
Okay, Alex. Looks like he has the full support. I'm just here for the company.
Let's try to get it all done.
You mean he said no?
So, I'll stay where I was. On the other side of the table.
Oh, that's
Am I all right? Am I all right?
early right here, right now. What do you stand right here? I shot there last time. I had a great shot. This is where I stood last time behind everyone. It was and I can get low if you want to stand behind me. All right.
That's Rick.
So right out of Mexico, I had a job working at YMCA as an after school. Right that leg. So I had a job working as like an after school program, right? And there was a kindergarten teacher that taught kids. Made all the kindergartners thought they corrected them every time. Not kindergarten. Yeah, but kindergartens. Yeah. But I was just like,
Hey, man, good to see you.
Good to see you. Tom.
Yeah. As soon as he hit like the snake out of it, well, all the way till the door. Finally shows up. My question is,
Did you put that camera on that tripod? Julia, I talked to Wayne. It's just like we said, file from laptop.
have they pushed you up too?
Yes, the whole.
Good.
Yeah, I think because the camera's on the sticks there. So I got both.
But I'm blocking you from here.
You're there, then we all got it.
You can't be on that side of the
Even handheld?
yeah. That's side. You do what you want. This morning. No problem.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent, are you shooting this run?
Let's just fly around. No. Okay. You have your wireless on? Look, I'm only going to come and play the 40 down. I don't think she's going to. So, good. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, here you go.
Okay, thanks. I'm gonna try to clean up.
Like products here.
Yeah, they're fine.
Take this right now. Take this right now. Right now.
Take your time taking the morning. Move it out of the way. Just hold the spot for in case you try. Huh? Is it 11:30? I thought it was 11. Did they move it? I thought it was 11.
Yeah. You're supposed to be in 5 minutes, but clearly that's not happening. They haven't changed the
As I said, business, like love, or
They know. They'll know. Usually it's just kind of like, yeah, if I were you, I would be kind of like just right here so you can. I mean, this helps. That ends some more while it.
Yeah, that's the Delaware guy is down over there. Hopefully this Delaware guy.
Oh.
That's my Friday. Right. Alright, structure.
Mantra all day, every day.
How are we? Good. Third. White House kids. Oh, you got me on 2? I thought I was on 4. Okay.
Put my whitey on. What are you talking about?
This is better. This is better right here.
Thank you. No, I'll get up. Team first.
Yes, those are very important.
None yet? None yet business? Oh, that's what she's the best thing. You know the guy. That's very true. Maybe that's specific model or something, but they all go figure. They all look like that. Is that right? There he is.
Trying not to speak out loud. It's a character on Harry Potter. You don't need to just stop. Just stop right now. Okay, I'll stop. All right. It's okay. Win, is that where you're going to be? You going to be there? Are you going to be there? Should y'all shuffle one more time? Whoa.
President Trump, sir, your message to the people of the Philippines.
Love them.
Can you get a trade deal done?
And we respect their leader greatly. This is their leader.
Can you get a
He's very tough on negotiating, but that's okay.
President Marcos, you think you'll get a deal done today, sir?
I think we will.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. of the Philippines, a great family legacy, and highly respected in this country. I know that because I have many friends in the Philippines, and there's great respect, or I couldn't say it, so congratulations.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking about trade. We're going to be talking about war and peace. They're a very important nation militarily, and we've had some great drills lately. We're back with them. I think I can say that the last administration was not getting along with them too well. They didn't get along with anybody. They didn't know. Honestly, they didn't know what they were doing. But we have some fantastic military relationships with the Philippines, and that's been reinstituted. And Pete, I would say that you couldn't be happier, right, with the relationship.
Great partner.
So I just want to say it's an honor to have you. We're going to talk about trade today, and we're very close to finishing a trade deal, big trade deal actually. And we do a lot of business with you. It's a lot of income coming in for both groups. But I was surprised to see the kind of numbers. They're very big, and they're going to get bigger under what we're doing and what we're proposing. And I just want to thank you for being with us. It's a great honor. You and your representative. It's really a great honor. We have a big announcement. AstraZeneca, the big drug company, is going to spend $50 billion, just announced $50 billion in the United States in order to build various places all over the country, big manufacturing plants, pharmaceutical plants all over the country. So that's an honor. And he said they did that because of the election and because of the fact that the tariffs are placed. So they're building their facilities in New York. 50 billion, that's a big investment. And it's going to be a very good investment. I have no doubt about it. So thank you to AstraZeneca. And with that, I'd like to have you say a few words, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Of course, we're all very happy to be here to once again reaffirm the very strong ties between the Philippines and the United States, ties that go back over 100 years. And considering the context in which we live these days, especially in my part of the world, this has evolved into as important a relationship as is possible to have. We must remember that the United States is our only treaty partner in the Philippines, and that has stood us in good stead over the years, certainly through the Second World War, and the cultural memory of all Filipinos, down to even the school children, is that our strongest, closest, most reliable ally has always been the United States. That is something that we value, that we are grateful for, and that we will continue to foster as we go on. With the leadership of President Trump, I am very confident that we will be able to achieve that. I think it is worthwhile to remember that it was President Trump who, in his first term, characterized the relationship between the Philippines and the United States as ironclad. And that has been necessarily the case since that time that you made that statement, sir. And it is something that the Philippines will always hold close to its heart. Thank you once again, and we are honored, and it is our great pleasure to be here and to visit with the President of the United States. Thank you, sir.
It's my great honor. Any questions, please? Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. President, do you think that Fed Chair Jerome Powell should resign?
I think he's done a bad job, but he's going to be out pretty soon anyway. In eight months, he'll be out. But I call him too late. He's too late all the time. He should have lowered interest rates many times. Europe lowered their rate 10 times. We lowered ours none. And it's causing a problem for people that want to buy a home. Look, our economy is so strong now, we're blowing through everything. We're setting records. You know that, you see that. And whether it's the Philippines or anyone else, we're setting records at levels that nobody's ever seen before. But you know what? People aren't able to buy a house because this guy is a numbskull. He keeps the rates too high and probably doing it for political reasons. The only time I remember him cutting rates, I mean, he cut the rates just before the election to try and help Kamala or whoever he was trying to help. He probably didn't know. And he's building a building. He's $2.7 billion. They have a $900 million overrun. What is that? And that was given by Biden. That was another Biden deal. And this guy's building this building that's severely overrun. And what does he need the building for? Why does he need space for more people? So they did a big study the other day, and they called all of the great intellects and the great economists and all of the great everything. And it was 71, and only 2 got it right. Me and another gentleman that happens to be very smart. 69 people got it wrong, and the Fed got it wrong, more wrong than anybody. And he has these think tanks, and they build buildings for people that think. And it's really not thinking. It's a little bit of combination of thinking, but it's something you sort of have or you don't have. They don't. The job he's done is just terrible. He ought to raise interest rates. We should be at 1%. We should be leading the world. Instead, we're paying 4%. And if you look at what that means, that's over $1 trillion in interest that we have to pay. That with the striking of a pen, we would be saving more than $1 trillion. Is that right, Scott?
Yes,
Do you have
sir.
anything to say about it?
Yes, sir. I called yesterday and this morning for the Fed to do a big internal investigation to understand not their monetary policy, but everything else. The Fed has had big mission creep, and that's where a lot of the spending's going. That's why they're building these new or refurbishing these buildings. And I think they got to stay in their lane. And I think that based on the way they cut rates last fall, they should be cutting rates now.
It's inconceivable. I know the Fed very well, that they can be spending $2.7 billion to build a building. They don't do anything. It's the greatest job. You show up one day, a half a day, you make a little speech, the economy is doing well, the economy is not doing well, we're going to raise interest. And he's got it wrong. That's why I call him too late, TOO, too late. And it's really too bad. But it is affecting people that want to buy houses, and that shouldn't happen. And he should lower them. Those rates should be 3 points lower. That's what they should be, 3 points lower, maybe more than that.
I would like to ask both of you one question. Mr. President Marcos, next year, Philippines is going to be the rotating chair of ASEAN. I wonder, how do you plan to balance your relationship between the United States and China? And for President Trump, Kremlin yesterday said if you are going to Beijing in September, they wouldn't rule out a meeting between you and President Putin. Is such a meeting possible? And how soon do you plan to visit China?
Well, we have a lot of meetings possible. President Xi has invited me to China, and we'll probably be doing that in the not too distant future, a little bit out, but not too distant. And I've been invited by a lot of people, and we'll make those decisions pretty soon. Please.
Well, as you say, we are chairing ASEAN for 2026. There is no need, in a sense, to balance, as you characterize as, to balance our relationship between the United States and China, simply because our foreign policy is an independent one, and we are essentially concerned with the defense of our territory and the exercise of our sovereign rights. Now, whether we do this not alone, we need to do this with our partners. And again, our strongest partner has always been the United States. But of course, we are trying to form coalitions and multilateral relations so that those like-minded nations who share the same values as we do, who hew to international law, most specifically the UNCLOS, present that position very clearly to anyone who has intentions of unilaterally changing the world order, and that is how we are guided.
And I don't mind if he gets along with China, because we're getting along with China very well. We have a very good relationship. In fact, the magnets, which is a little complex piece of material, but the magnets are coming out, very well. They're sending them in record numbers, we're getting along with China very well. And I don't mind if the president dealt with China, if that's meant, because I think he has to do what's right for his country. I've always said, make the Philippines great again. Do whatever you need to do, but you're dealing with China wouldn't bother me at all.
No, well, now it is something that we have to do in any case.
Yeah.
And certainly.
What are your comments to the
Mr. President, do you support the Justice Department seeking a new interview with Ghislaine Maxwell? Did you urge the Attorney General to seek?
I don't know anything about it. They're going to what? Meet her?
Your Deputy Attorney General has reached out to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney asking for a new interview.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I think it's something that sounds appropriate to do, yeah.
Do you have any concern that your Deputy Attorney General, as your former attorney, would be conducting the interview, given?
No, I have no concern. He's a very talented person. He's very smart. I didn't know that they were going to do it. I don't really follow that too much. It's sort of a witch hunt, just a continuation of the witch hunt. The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. When we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. So that's really the things you should be talking about. I know nothing about the other, but I think it's appropriate that they do go.
May I ask you about that, Mr. President?
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him, and Comey was there, and Clapper. The whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room right here. This was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up. They came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about putting it here, but I do. But you know what? If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one look, he's guilty. It's not a question. I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it. And we have all of the documents. And from what Tulsi told me, she's got thousands of additional documents coming. So President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill. Hillary Clinton and her group, the Democrats, spent $12 million to Christopher Steele to write up a report that was a total fake report. Took 2 years to figure that out, but it came out that it was a total fake report. It was made up fiction. And they used that. Now, the one thing they weren't able to do was and probably the only thing I respect about the press in years is the press refused to write it before the election. They refused to put it in. The Steele report was a disaster. All lies, all fabrication, all admitted, an admitted fraud. She paid $12 million, and the Democrats, for that report to a wise guy named Christopher Steele. He wrote a phony report, and they wanted to get that report in before the election. And I'll tell you what, I talk about all the time, the fake news, how bad it is. But in this case, they wouldn't do it. They saw it, they read it, and they said, we don't believe it. And it was only after, substantially, like a month and a half after the election, that it got printed, and it was a big wisp. It was just like a bang of nothing, because the election had ended. If that report had gotten published by the New York Times or somebody, and I respect the Times for maybe only this, because they're crooked as you can be. They're a terrible paper, a crooked, corrupt paper. But for this one moment, they said, this is bullshit. We can't put this in. And neither could any other paper. Wall Street Journal's a lousy paper, very, very dishonest paper. As you see, I'm suing them for a lot of money because they do things very badly. It's got a nice name, but it's really, in my opinion, it's a terrible paper, and it can be corrupt. But just so you know, they didn't take the Steele report. It was the dossier. Remember the famous dossier? I called it the fake news dossier. The news wouldn't publish it. And I'm amazed. They had 2.5 months. It was finished, 2.5 months. That was supposed to be what was going to happen. And it got published a couple of months after the election. And frankly, nobody cared too much about it. But that was a big thing. No, we caught Hillary Clinton. We caught Barack Hussein Obama. They're the ones. And then you have many, many people under them. Susan Rice. They're all there. The names are all there. And I guess they figured they're going to put this in classified information and nobody will ever see it again. But it doesn't work that way. And it's the most unbelievable thing I think I've ever read. So you ought to take a look at that and stop talking about nonsense, because this is big stuff. Never has a thing like this happened in the history of our country. And by the way, it morphed into the 2020 race. And the 2020 race was rigged, and it was a rigged election. And because it was rigged, we have millions of people in our country. We had inflation. We solved the inflation problem. But millions and millions of people came into our country because of that. And people that shouldn't have been, people from gangs and from jails and from mental institutions, people that we don't want in our country, and people that we're getting out, dangerous people. 11,888 murderers, many of them 50%, more than 50%, murdered more than one person. I hate to say this with such a distinguished guest, but you know, they asked me a question. I got to answer the question. No, Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden, and so were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group. And they tried to rig an election, and they got caught. And then they did rig the election in 2020. And then because I knew I won that election by a lot, I did it a third time, and I won in a landslide. Every swing state won the popular vote. But I won that all the same way in 2020. And look at the damage that was caused.
How crucial is the ammunition hub, and how crucial is the ammunition hub that the U.S. plans to build in Subic and the Luzon corridor, considering that these will be built in areas that hosts strategic ports as well as military air bases?
You're talking ammunition?
Yes, the U.S. House Congressional Committee on Appropriations approved the budget.
Well, it's very important. Otherwise, we wouldn't have approved it.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's very important. Otherwise, we wouldn't. We need ammunition. We're going to end up in a few months, we'll have more ammunition than any country has ever had. We're going to have more missiles than any country has ever had. We're going to have all the speedy missiles. We'll have the speedy ones, the slow ones, the accurate ones, the ones that are slightly less accurate. We have everything. But we will have more ammunition than any country has ever had. It's very important to me. Okay. Go ahead, please, Red.
Sir, when you say that you're close to making a trade deal, what gaps remain? And for President Marcos, sir, I was just wondering, do you not think that perhaps the Philippines hosting U.S. missile systems could be considered escalatory by China, especially because they can strike.
Well, it's an honor to be with this gentleman. You know, I've known him and I've known his family actually, but I've known him. And I assume you're from the Philippines? Are you from the Philippines?
Yes, sir.
That's good. You're very lucky to be from the Philippines, right? It's a great place. But we're going to have a very good relationship. I mean, I know you had some problems with another president, and it was not your fault. It was the president's fault. And the country was maybe tilting toward China, but we untilted it very, very quickly. But you know, you had a country that was tilting toward China for a period of time. And I just don't think that would have been good for you. You can deal with China. You should deal with China. But when I got elected, everything changed and they came right back to us. Say it again. Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Oh, Mr. President, I just wanted to piggyback off the
Sorry, I have
housing.
a question to President Marcos.
Yes. I'm sorry, what was the question again?
It was about whether having U.S. missiles hosted in the Philippines could be considered escalatory by China.
All of what we consider part of the modernization of the Philippine military is really as a response to the circumstances that surround the situation around the South China Sea, and now what we used to refer to as Asia Pacific, which we have expanded now to the Indo-Pacific. And if we would certainly, like in any kind of military spending, we would wish that it wasn't necessary, but it is. And so that is what we are doing. And as an adjunct to the question about the ammunition production, this is actually the United States is assisting the Philippines in what we call our self-reliance defense program, which is to allow us to be self-reliant and to be able to stand our own 2 feet, whatever the circumstances that occur in the future. And the reason that we have encouraged more interaction with the United States is because it is necessary. And it is not just with the United States. It is with all our neighboring countries and even countries as far afield as the Scandinavian countries, the EU. And so this is an ongoing process. And again, I will stress the point that we do this because we feel it is necessary.
And don't forget, just as tantamount to what you're asking, the Philippines were loaded up with ISIS and a lot of terrorists, and they were at very, very dangerous point. And during my administration, we went in and we wiped them out, working with the Philippines, but we wiped them out. But if we didn't go in, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know who would be your president right now. But we spent a lot of time and a lot of talent on going into the Philippines and wiping out terrorists. They had a tremendous problem during my administration, and we cleaned it up. We got them out, and now you really have a good, solid country again.
I believe so. Yes.
How can you
Mr. President, I
Right.
want to follow up on the housing question.
Yeah.
We've got no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. How important is it we have no tax on home sales, capital gains, to unleash the housing market?
Well, we're thinking about that, but would also unleash it just by lowering the interest rates. If the Fed would lower the rates, we wouldn't even have to do that. But we are thinking about no tax on capital gains on houses. And I'm very impressed that you asked that question because nobody knew that.
Well,
How did you find that out? That's right.
I wonder why there's somebody I'm very close
There's
to.
a leaker. There's a leaker.
I've also got a question. I find it a very interesting world that we know more about two people at a Coldplay concert just hours after that viral video than we know of Thomas Crooks 1 year after attempting to assassinate you. What is holding back the investigation on Thomas Crooks?
Well, they've reported to me and they've told me things, and they really say they haven't found anything that was abnormal. I would say this, the Secret Service was very brave because they were right there and they jumped on me. They made a mistake. They should have had somebody on that roof, and they should have had communication with the local police who also, they did a very good job, but they made some mistakes, and we have a whole different group of people now. I don't think anything can happen, but I think we have the best people anywhere in the world right now. And I think they've learned. And, they went into him very, in great detail. They gave me the whole thing. And what can I do? They say that it was just a nut job. that was looking to do this. And I spoke with the FBI, the new FBI. I spoke to the FBI. If it was the old FBI, I wouldn't have believed a thing they said, because the old FBI under Comey was crooked as hell. He was one of the most crooked. Everybody should read the Horowitz report. Unfortunately, Bill Barr didn't use it. But the Horowitz report, not appointed by me, it was a report on Comey and the FBI. It is one of the worst shots at a human being I think I've ever seen. In fact, the New York Times did an editorial that was one of the worst editorials I've ever seen about anybody. That was about Comey. You ought to go back and get, and Barr didn't use it because he didn't have the guts to use it, or something happened. I don't know. Too bad. He went to Mr. Durham. Instead of doing the Durham, all they had to use is the Horowitz report. And I always felt badly for Horowitz, frankly, because he's a Democrat, I guess. He was appointed by a Democrat. But that report has gotten lost, and it shouldn't be lost. You should all go back. It should be mandatory reading. Go back and read the Horowitz report on Comey and his cronies. And you'll see exactly, we're going to add that to all the stuff that we found. It just confirms it. But what we found is even more so. Now, we found absolute, this isn't like evidence, this is like proof, irrefutable proof that Obama was seditious, that Obama was trying to lead a coup. And it was with Hillary Clinton, with all these other people, but Obama headed it up. And, I get a kick when I hear everyone talks about people I never even heard of. It was this one. No, it was Obama. He headed it up. And it says so right in the papers. Got everything. This is the biggest scandal in the history of our country. And it really goes on to even the auto pen, because it all relates to the same thing. It all started the same sick minds. You have an auto pen, which is a tremendous, well, we don't have a president. We have an auto pen that signs everything. I'll bet you sign everything. You don't have auto pens. Everybody, who doesn't sign? You're the president of a country. But it's all that whole thing leading right up to the end of it is the auto pen. And the auto pen was used by people, and Biden knew nothing about it. They were signing documents that he knew nothing about. As an example, they released the Unselect Committee of Liability. The Unselect Committee spent 2 years grilling everybody, and then they destroyed all the evidence. You know why? Because the evidence made them guilty, and he gave them all a pardon. The Cheney, all the scum that was on the Unselect Committee, Cryan, Adam Kinzinger, and Democrats, and he gave them a pardon. Do you have something else, guys?
I was just going to add one more thing on Adam Schiff. Director Pulte reports that Adam Schiff claims he lived in a one-bedroom apartment. How does a family of four? You're a developer, a very successful developer. How does a family of four live in a one-bedroom apartment?
No, it looks like Adam Schiff really did a bad thing. They have him. Now, let's see what happens. It's not up to me. I stay out of it purposely. But it's mortgage loan fraud. It's a big deal. He defrauded banks and insurance companies and the federal government. But it's very simple. It's mortgage loan fraud. And you're right. That's a lot of people to live in a one-bedroom apartment, right? But he put it down. But he has a lot of other things far worse than that. So, no, Adam Schiff, they have him 100% on mortgage fraud. Now, if there's anybody else in this room except you would have no problem. But anybody else in this room, you'd have a problem. I'd have a problem. Yeah, please.
So there was a hearing yesterday in the Harvard case. Would you allow Harvard to get their federal dollars back as a part of any agreement with the administration?
No, I'm not giving. Harvard's been given $7 billion. Can you believe it? By the $7 billion. And we want money to go to all universities, not Harvard. Harvard got more than anybody else. They have $52 billion. They get huge tax incentives and tax breaks on that $52 billion. But they have $52 billion, and they got $7 billion over a short period of time. And we have a very hostile judge appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, a very, very hostile judge who knows exactly right from wrong. But we expect to win it on appeal. She hasn't given a decision yet, but she's very hostile, and she was put by Barack Hussein Obama, And generally speaking, anybody that does that, we're gonna have problems with. So we don't expect to have, we won the case yesterday. Anybody that was there, that was a neutral, would say we easily won the case. But a lot of the case and a big part of it's gonna be how much money Harvard gets in the future. That's not part of the case. And they're not gonna get very much.
Mr. President, where are we in terms of negotiating about the reciprocal tariff? How far are we
With who?
from the Philippines? Yes,
Oh.
sir. How far
Are you from the Philippines?
Yes, sir.
Good.
I'm from the Philippines. How far are we from achieving?
Well, it's tough. He's a very tough negotiator. So far, we're not there because he's negotiating too tough. In fact, I used to like him better than I do now. He's too tough. But we'll probably agree to something. But he's strong, a strong negotiator. He loves your country.
Mr. President, Mr.
President, when are you coming to the Philippines, sir?
You talked a lot about the severe consequences that those who were involved in the Russia hoax must face. In your view, sir, what are the next steps now that these documents are out there? Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, the Justice Department would have to act. And we have a very competent, very good, very loyal to our country person in Pam Bondi, very respected. And it's going to be her decision.
Just a follow-up to that, sir. Kristi Noem was in New York City visiting an off-duty CBP officer who was allegedly shot this weekend by an illegal alien who came into the country during the previous administration.
Right.
What is your message to any local leaders who continue to push sanctuary city policies after this nearly tragic incident?
So the only thing I don't understand, because you like to understand things and we're all smart people and all, but why would they allow 21 million people into our country, unvetted, unchecked? You don't allow it. You wouldn't allow people then. He's tough. No, their country's run properly. Biden and his group of thugs, and I don't think it was Biden. I think it was the people that surrounded that beautiful Resolute desk right behind you. They allowed 21 million people, probably much more than that. And many of them came from jails and gangs and drug dealers and mental institutions, insane asylums. Many of them are very sick. 21 million, probably 25 million, probably even more than that. And we're getting them out. Many were murderers, as I said. They killed people. Many killed more than one person. Stone cold murderers. I don't understand why they would have allowed that. There's only two reasons. The vote, because they want voters. That's one reason. I don't think they would have done it for that because they cheat. You know, they're so good at cheating, they don't need that. But the vote, and the second reason is they hate our country. I think they hate our country. I actually do. And it's the biggest problem. I mean, much of our time is spent with, you know, we have the strongest border anywhere in the world now. Maybe even stronger than your border, if you can believe it. We have no people came in last month, zero, which is pretty amazing. I'm not even sure I can believe that. But liberals are the ones that do that calculation. So, but we had no people come in. A year ago, we had hundreds of thousands of people come in. Hundreds of thousands of people. And they flowed in. And if it wasn't for the election, it would have been millions of people came in last year. So millions of people prior to election time, they allowed millions and millions of people to come into I mean, you saw it. They'd open the gates. If you took an Alabama LSU football game that holds 128,000 people, I was there, 128,000 people. And I liked them and they liked me. But if you took that and doubled it, that's what used to flow into our country on a daily basis. It's not even believable. And we're getting them out, and we're starting with the worst ones. And we had a man shot yesterday, a police officer who's great gentleman, shot right here in the throat. Probably won't be able to speak again. But he was brave, and he shot the other guy, and they ended up getting him. And you saw the scene where his friend took him to a hospital and dumped him down on the sidewalk. The whole thing was crazy. But why would anybody do to our country what these Democrats have done? And honestly, we can never forget it. We can never forget it. What they have done, the damage that they've done to America is very, very sad. Thank you very much, everybody.
How's your health? How's your health?
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Walking.